workshop audience, thank you for attending and participating for the third session of this virtual program. Thank you to all. And we find that in the second session, if you remember, that how we should find and how we can find the clear questions according to PICO. You remember it. What does it stand for? PICO, P for population, and I for intervention, and C for the comparison, and O for the outcome. I know you remember all of this. And today, search strategies are explained, and you will find how to search for evidence-based resources. Now I would like to introduce today's lecturer, Professor Mohammad Reza Khami, who kindly organized this workshop, and Professor Ahmed Reza Shamshiri from Tehran University of Medical Sciences. I would like to welcome to them. And before listening to today's lecture, I would like to present a short biography of Professor Shamshiri. He graduated from medical school in 1999 from Iran University of Medical Sciences. After that, he then continued his education in epidemiology and graduated from Tehran University of Medical Science in 2011. He was highly interested in research practice in different fields and started research while he was an undergraduate student in different areas such as microbiologic sciences and infectious disease, cancer disease, and etc. He has been assistant professor of Tehran University of Medical Science Dental School from 2012. Now we have the opportunity in these sessions to find out what is the basic strategies for searching evidence-based resources that is presented and explained by Professor Khami and Professor Shamshiri. And we'll be running, as the previous sessions, a live question and answer about 15 minutes at the end of this session. You can write it again as before, your question to the chat box, and your question will be answered at the end of this session. Don't worry at all. And Professor Khami, please, the stage is yours.
Okay, so in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, hello to everybody. Sorry for this delay. Okay, because I could not use my laptop for connecting to the Zoom. I don't know what was the problem. So, but I'm here from this laptop, and I will start my presentation soon. First of all, again, thank you for attending this workshop, this program, this virtual program on evidence-based dentistry. And I would like, in the beginning of my presentation today, just to know where we are and where we want to go from here. Just do a brief review of the previous topics that we covered in our previous sessions. So just a quick and brief overview of the our last sessions will be presented first. And after that, I will go to the topic of today, which is how to search databases and how to find evidences. Okay, so let me just share my screen and yes, okay. So I hope you can see now my screen, yes. So please tell me if you can see my screen, then I can start. So this is just, as I told you, this is a review of what we had in our previous sessions. I just do it quickly. So as you remember, in the first session, we talked about the main sources of information. As you can remember, that it was teachers, textbooks, and journal articles. And we know that in today's world, there is an increasing trend toward web-based course and instructions. And then we had three main reasons for being up to date. The first one was the slippery slope of clinical competence phenomena. The second one was the consumer movement. And the third one was information explosion. And if you can remember, and because it is also related to our today's topic, we had some figures about information explosion and the huge amount of information that every day is produced as circulated in the internet. But at the same time, we thought that not all of this information is valid or useful for the patient care. Just a little more than 1% is both rigorous and clinically relevant. So we know that most research published in medical journals is too poorly done or insufficiently relevant to be clinically useful. And the other problem was about conflicting findings that if you're doing clinical practice, I can say that we certainly have encountered some conflicting findings in the articles and in documents that we see. Then we came to the definition of evidence-based dentistry. And as you can see again here, it is the integration of best research evidence with clinical expertise and patient values. Again, another definition of evidence-based dentistry with the same three components. Then we came to the 5 elements and 5 steps of evidence-based approach. The first one was defining a clear question, which we covered in our last session presented by Professor Khan. How to define and develop a clear question based on the patient's clinical problem. Today, we are focusing on how to find latest evidence through efficient searching for information with available resources. In our next session, we will talk about how to critically appraise the evidence to assess its value. And the next 2 steps, acting and evaluating, are those which should be done when we have extracted and appraised the evidences. So we should act according to what we have found, and then we should evaluate our work. So these are the 5 steps of evidence-based dentistry. Then regarding the clear and focused question, as we saw in the last session, we have 4 types of clinical questions. This is, of course, one classification. There are some other classification. Or there are some subgroups for some of these categories, which we covered in our last session, I mean, the session before this one. And then, okay, therapy, diagnosis, prognosis, and causation. These are the four main types of clinical questions that we may encounter in our daily clinical practice. And then we learned about PICO, P-I-C-O. So P stands for patient with problem, and sometimes population. So I stands for intervention, C for comparison, if any, if we have, and O stands for outcome. So these, this is the structure of a clear questions. And as you remember from the last session, sometimes they will add some other components to this PICO, like PICO ST. And then the real life cases, for example, just come in our mind that what we are doing now. For a West dental caries in maxillary right first molar of 18 years old girl, each of the amalgam or composite fillings provide more strength, micro leakage, and aesthetic. You can see three outcomes here. I want to emphasize on the importance of outcome. We should specify outcome because based on the different outcomes, the answer to our questions might be different. The next case, you have done a traumatic wisdom teeth surgery on right mandibular third molar for a 27-year-old healthy man. You don't know if antibiotic prescription is necessary or not. What do you do? Then, which of the analog or digital radiography systems better diagnose interproximal caries? These are the routine questions that we have in our clinical practice. And then a company introduces a device using laser technology to diagnose dental caries and claims that it is 100% accurate. Will you buy the device or not? We have done a class 2 amalgam filling on mandibular left premolar for a 30 years old man. The patient asked how many years it will work. What is your answer? And a 60 years old male patient with a wide lesion in the buccal mucosa asked whether or not it is dangerous. What is your answer? As you can see, these real life cases cover all the four types of questions that we saw in the previous slides. Again, a 25-year-old female patient suffering from halitosis asked what are the possible reasons of her problem. Or a 50-year-old female patient with 8 amalgam fillings in her mouth is concerned with potential risk of mercury and asks you if she should replace the fillings with composite or not. What would be your answer then? Okay, so this was just a brief review to know now we are in the third step. In the second step of evidence-based approach. We can imagine that, we can suppose that we have developed a clear question according to PICO structure. And now we want to try to search and find the best available answer to our question, the best available resources that are available that can respond to our question. Okay. And then you can ask your questions.
Close the purple box.
This one. Okay. Okay. It's okay. So this is these are my 2 email addresses, and also this is my account in Instagram, so you can directly contact and ask your question if you want. So this is for the first part, and now I want to go to the topic of today, which is searching the databases. So today we will have an introduction to biomedical databases. In my first presentation, I will present this introduction to biomedical databases. And in the second part, we will go deeply, my presentation, I mean. After this first presentation, Dr. Shamshiri will have a presentation about basic and advanced search strategies. So I'm so lucky that after me, Professor Shamshiri will have a presentation, so he can correct and complete my presentation. of course. So introduction to biomedical databases. So the outline is what is a database? What is a database at all? And then why do we need and why do we use databases? Then we will get familiar with databases containing biomedical studies. Then about PubMed, which maybe you are familiar with that, most probably used maybe database. And then what is the difference between basic search and advanced search? And then what is medical subject headings? These are the topics that we try to cover today. And you also can contribute to completion of this presentation by your questions and comments, which are mostly welcome. Okay, so what is a database? Why do we need and why we use databases? Maybe the main reason that we need to have databases and we need to use databases, again, is information explosion and the huge amount of data and information and knowledge that are produced daily in the world. These huge amount of information need classification. If we want to effectively use this information, we need to have some classification for that. We want to have information retrieval, both simple and smart. So when we want to search for a specific article or for a specific topic, we should be able to do it simply and smartly. Both of these aspects are important at the same time. So a database is like a library. They go to a library and you know the classifications of books. For example, in this corridor, there are basic sciences books, and there are some shelves in this corridor, which is specifically devoted to anatomical sciences books. So when you are searching for an anatomical science book, you directly go to that corridor and to that shelf. This is the benefit of classification. But without the classification, for example, in that library, you should consider, you should investigate all the books, for example, maybe 2,000 books, to find the topic that you want. Okay? And then this classification makes our information retrieval simple. But what about smart information retrieval? This again reflects or go back to the information explosion, because the number of articles in even in highly specified topics are numerous. So we should be able to do our information retrieval smarter and smarter and smarter. And the advanced search strategies and advanced search tools that the databases have developed, they are really helpful in doing smart searching. When we go to medical subject headings, we can clearly see that what is a smart literature search. The other benefit and the other function of databases is indexing. There are certain scientometric index developed by scientists, and according to databases, they can extract these scientometric indices can be extracted from the databases, and they can be used for ranking researchers, institutions, etc. This is a specific aspect of using databases, which it is not our topic today, this indexing and citation indexing, because we are talking about this information retrieval today. But we will have something about that. We can see something about that. And according to these functions, yes, it's better now. According to these functions, we can present a classification of databases. So some of the databases are developed by publishers like Elsevier, like Springer Nature, like ProQuest. You certainly know the names of some of the big publishers that they have developed databases, both for their products and other products. We will see something about Elsevier later. Some of the databases, they try to gather and present evidences, for example, up-to-date. If you have worked with up-to-date, you know that. In the up-to-date, you can search for specific topic, and some articles and some evidences are presented to you. So this is the second category of databases. Then we have some guideline databases. For example, TRIP database is a guideline database. And my colleague, Dr. Shamshiri, will cover this because guidelines, first we should know what is guideline. And we will know that what is guideline. And we'll tell you that this can provide a high level of evidence, the guidelines. And the process of development of a guideline is somehow complicated, and there are certain methodologies for that. So the guideline provides valid evidence for us, for our practice. Then we have these citation index databases, like Scopus and Web of Science. In fact, the most famous ones are these. First one is Web of Science, and the second one is Scopus. So these are citation index databases. And the difference is that in these databases, the references for each article is also presented. Because of presenting the references of each article or each document in these databases, then it is possible to calculate, for example, these scientometrics indices like impact factor, like H index, which shows that how many times an article in average has been cited by the other articles. Okay, because it is very important when you publish an article. Okay, it's very important that how many citations you will have. High numbers of citation to your article show that your article is a good one and answer a good question, an important question, and you have done a very good research, and you have presented it very good. So people are citing your research. Okay, so the citation indices show that how valid and good an article can be, or a researcher. So a researcher with many articles with high citation numbers, we can consider him or her as a successful researcher. I don't want to talk about impact factor or H index, but just you know that these, as I told, these indices show the number of citations in average. Impact factor is calculated for a journal, and H index for researchers, for institutions, like that. So another types of, maybe we can name it just search engine and not databases, but we can also have them as a category of databases or the search engines, for example, Google Scholar and Ovid. I think most of you have used Google Scholar. So it is a search engine, but specifically designed for scientific documents and articles and websites. So the difference between the normal Google and this Google Scholar is this aspect that according to that, we can put this Google Scholar in the category of databases. And then we have another type, comprehensive databases. Maybe the best one is Medline. Medline is a database, and PubMed site is a gateway to access this database. So this comprehensive database have many features of the other ones. For example, in this Medline and in the PubMed site, we have a search engine, and we have many other features that we explained about the other databases, other categories of databases. Okay, and then data most frequently offered in databases. The first one is bibliographic information of an article, of a book, of a document. For example, regarding an article, the name of the journal, the issue, the number of the issue of the journal, the number of pages, or for example, for the books, the number of publisher, the name of the publisher, and then page numbers and something like that. These are the bibliographic information that are offered for any documents in databases. Then some databases offer abstracts. Maybe this is a common feature that they present the abstracts and deliver the abstract of the documents that you want. And also term index. Then, as I told you, some of the databases like Web of Science, they also present the citations of each document. For example, how many other researchers have cited this article or this document? Sometimes some of the databases also they provide full text for you and the image of an article or a document. Then we have some main advanced search terms. I'm sure that maybe all of you have done a search, and the basic search is just, I think, the keyword that you intend to search for in a toolbar, and then waiting for the information retrieval. But then there are some advanced search terms that help you to do a smart search. So, for example, you can specify the field that you are searching. You can specify the title, and you can maybe the title and abstract and keywords. You can combine these together to do a specific search, more specific search. Then you may use index terms for your search. We will see some of these, and or you may use the keyword specified by the author to search a document and to find it. You can do your search according to the dates, according to the author of a document, according to the editor of a journal or of a book, according to the affiliation of the authors of a journal or of a book, according to the publication name, or according to the year that the document has been published. These are the terms that you can use for your advanced search. You can use a language tool. For example, just choose to retrieve just English articles or books. Volume of the journal. There are two specific numbers, one for journals and one for books. International Standard Serial Number and International Standard Book Number. You can also, because this is unique, for example, for a book, this is unique, for a journal, this is unique, and you can use this to find a journal or a book. And then you can just refine your search, how many results be displayed per page, and according to this, that if it contains the references or not. These are not all of them in all databases, but some of them in some databases. Generally, these are the main advanced search terms. Okay, so till now, I would like to ask if there is any comment or question by the audiences. It might help us to have a more interactive presentation and help our learning. I remember one of our professors in University of Helsinki, Professor Lari Tarkonen, and he was always saying that there is no silly question, but there are silly answers. Okay, so don't be worried. You can ask your question. There is no silly question, but there are silly answers. So I should be worried how to answer your questions. And at the same time, I try to just make this desk fit to the screen. Okay, so we will have also time for question and answer at the end of the presentations. So you can just write down your questions in the chat box, and then we'll try to answer those questions. But I just want to ask, can you follow me? So do you follow me? This is what I'm saying. Is this useful for you? This is the main question. If it is useful and you can follow, okay, I'm okay. So then you can ask your questions in the time that we'll have for question and answers. So just maybe I can take a look at the chat box. Um, okay, maybe we can continue. Just as an example of a publisher database, we can see some figures about this Elsevier, which is a big publisher. And we will go also to its website to see how it looks like. So 2,500 journals, 16 million articles, 39,000 ebooks, including books, book series, and major reference works, and digital archives that reach as far as back as 1823. So you can see how old is this publisher, and I think it's valuable to have such a background. So we can go to this website and take a look at the website. Can you see the website now? You can see the website, or I should search? No? No. Okay. So it seems that
yes.
you can see. Okay. Okay. So this is because the search engine for this database is Science Direct, and this is the address of the website. And you can see, you can do your search here, and you can see according to keywords, according to author name, journal to title, volume, issue, page, and then you have the tab of advanced search here. You can specify the fields of your research here, articles, for example, the terms, or the authors, or the years, or the author affiliation, or the issue or volume. And if we can see also the other fields, for example, title, references, ISSN or ISBN, and even according to the article types. So, for example, if I know that the article that I'm searching for is a specific kind of article, then I can specify here. If I am searching for review articles, I can just pick this one. Okay. So these are the tools that this website provides you to do a smart search and advanced search. Okay. And the other things that I want to say, that this Elsevier is a comprehensive database, not just limited to health sciences or medical sciences. So you can here see that physical sciences and engineering with these categories. Then we have life sciences with these categories, then health sciences. And in this health sciences, we have a category of medicine and dentistry. So we can directly go to this medicine and dentistry and do our search here, which is surely a better search. Okay, so this I just wanted to show the face of one of these publisher databases. There are many, and you can see and you can go through them by yourself. Okay, so coming back to our presentation, then PubMed. Can you see now my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so PubMed, as I told you, is a gateway to Medline database. You can do basic and advanced search, and a specific feature of PubMed is medical subject headings. Then the other important database which provides evidences for you is the Cochrane Library. The main core is Cochrane Reviews. And there are main databases belonging to this Cochrane Library, which are Cochrane Database of Systematic Reviews, CDSR, Cochrane Central Register of Control Trials, Central, and Cochrane Clinical Answers. We'll see Cochrane. The Cochrane Library belongs to Wiley publication. It is also accessible through OVID platform, which is another platform for searching the documents and databases. And a very good point regarding Cochrane Library is that it also supports medical subject headings terms. So we can take a look at this, the Cochrane Library. It's nothing but I try to type it. The Cochrane Library. Okay, I made a mistake, but this is the website. You can just take a look at it also. So this is Cochrane Library website. And so you can see the various parts of it here, Cochrane Reviews. And then trials. You can search trials here. And then clinical answer. You can also try to find a clinical answer. And so if we go to this one, which was the most important feature of this database, then we can see it has some categories, and according to that categories, we can do a good search. So, okay, this is the web page that we can search systematic reviews through this website. So you can see the number, more than 8,000. Around 8,500 Cochrane reviews. And the most recent one, this is the order. Now the order is by published date. You can change it, okay? And then there are some filter here that you can use to do a better search. And for example, you can see the filters, and I want to emphasize on this filter, which is about topics. For example, if you just go to the child health topics, then your search will be through just these 200. I don't know. Okay, just can you see the web page that I'm presenting or not? If just you, I can here. Okay, chat. Yes, no. Okay, you cannot see. So I again share. Sorry, I share this. Yes. Now you should see it. Okay, can you see it? Okay. So we were in this Cochrane Library, Cochrane Reviews. So, and I was talking about the various categories that it has. For example, child health, neurology, lungs, and airways. And if we see all the categories, we can see that there is a specific categories for dentistry and oral health. So this is the category of dentistry and oral health. And we can see that 205 reviews according to Cochrane standards are presented here, have been done and are presented here. And the most recent one is about adjunctive systemic antimicrobial for the non-surgical treatment of periodontitis. And an interesting feature here is that you can see the PICO. You can see the PICOs for any of these 205 and all the Cochrane reviews. So for this review, the population has been infant, adults, elderly, child, periodontitis, so patients or population or problem. P stands for these. Then the intervention have been periodontal scaling and root planning of the entire mouth and antimicrobials. And the comparison have been periodontal scaling and root planning in the entire mouth and antimicrobials, placebo. So these intervention has been compared with placebo, and then the outcome has been periodontal pocket. So this PICO now clearly shows that how this research question has been developed and answered. For example, the next one is a pit and fissure sealant versus fluoride varnish for preventing dental decay in the permanent teeth of children and adolescents. Again, we can see the PICOs. The population is adult and child. The intervention is dental pit and fissure sealant and application of dental fluoride. And just in the comparison with application of dental fluoride, and the outcome has been dental caries. So you can see here the PICO for each of these reviews that has been done. And then if you go back to the first web page, and then you can see here for search, you can search here. And then if you go to the advanced search, then you can see here medical terms here. So you can also these medical subject headings to refine your search. And we will go through these mesh terms in the second part of my presentation, for Shamshiri. So we can leave it now, but just to show that also in the Cochrane Library, you can use these medical subject headings terms for a better search. Okay, so just going back to our presentation. So we are talking about Cochrane. We talked about Cochrane Library, and as I told you, we have two famous citation index databases. The first one is Web of Science, and the second one is Scopus or Scopus. I don't know what's the correct pronunciation. However, the Web of Science is a very, I can say, the prestigious database. Why I'm saying that this is prestigious? Because the impact factor that is calculated by this database is valid. If you go to the web page of many journals, you can see some figures for impact factor, but they are not real impact factor, or at least they are not as valid as the impact factor that is calculated by Web of Science. So just rely on the figures that you can find the figures in the Web of Science database, not just in the journal website when you are in doubt that this impact factor is a valid one or not. Just go to the database of Web of Science and try to search for the name of the journal, and then you can see the valid impact factor there, okay? So as I told you, we are not talking today about these citation index databases. So my first presentation, my first part of presentation now is finished. I tried just to get you familiar with the databases, different and various databases, and maybe the principles of search. But in the next presentation by Dr. Shamshiri, we will go through basic and advanced search strategies, and you will find out more about searching databases through his presentation. Okay, we have now some time. If you have some questions, just please write down, type it in the chat box. Then